Welcome back, everyone. We are getting into this PvZ, second to last series for the European round robin. And this one is probably going to determine our second to last place. The top right, unfortunately not doing so hot. It is the blue Protoss ShoWTimE. In the bottom left, bringing it back a little bit by defeating Lambo, but still, things could change for the worse for this guy. It is Elazer. If Lambo wins his next two series, Elazer loses his next two. It might be Elazer who's out, vice versa. If they tie, I guess. But one person's map score is better. If everything is tied, Elazer did beat Lambo. I mean, I don't know. But I do believe if ShoWTimE loses this series, that he might just secure that second to last spot. It's, I'd rather not have a good day yesterday. And doesn't seem to be having any better of a day today, so he has been basically confirmed to be the last spot. Maybe he wins the next two when he's second to last, but still, it kind of seems like he's going to be eliminated. Don't want to call it too early. Don't want to call it too incorrectly either. So I'm just going to leave it at, it's important. It's important to make it through, even if you are sixth. You still are through, even if you're not in the best possible spot. You at least still got the chance to make it through the rest of the bracket, which will be happening in 2 weeks offline in California. If you're gonna ask if there's gonna be seating, you know, tickets, audience, I don't know, but I'm guessing no. Just as a heads up. It's sad but true. So ShoWTimE been struggling in this winter tournaments. Struggling yesterday, still loses his series today. Oh my god, I just messed everything up. Don't break, computer. That'd be great. Yeah, he lost 0-2 to Hero Marlene. So who did he win against? Rail, I think. Yeah, he only won his PvP today. Well, this weekend, sorry. So he's also been kind of, I think he's been vocal about his struggles with PvZ. So most recently, right, we have the Nida shenanigans that seem to be giving a lot of people trouble, and he tweeted about that yesterday. But even before that, I'm talking back to IEM, he kind of just tweeted when he didn't make it through the group stages, like, you know, oh, I don't really understand PvZ, or something along those lines, like trying new things, can't really find my style, something along those lines, right? And it wasn't too surprising, because I got to cast quite a few of his games, PvZ. And he did have a couple of these odder, weirder openers where I was like, well, I can see how these work out, but these aren't exactly normal. And once again, he's doing it. He went for the Robo opener, which, you know, fine. It helps against early Nidus worms, as well as has provided some decent attacks. It could be misread as well when I charge it all in. You know, there's merit to it. But then he just picks up a single Stalker. Sends an Observer over, and it's like, what? I assume it's gonna be more Stalkers. Yeah, so Stalkers do one-shot a drone at 4. They can obviously clean up creep spread. And they're not as expensive as Archons, especially because you don't have to go up into a Dark Shrine or Temple Archives. And it happens a lot quicker, too. I guess I should have mentioned that. It's a lot quicker than the Archon drop, so obviously Elazer's like, what the hell? Hasn't made any units of preparation for this because he didn't see any units he had to be prepared for. Like, there weren't even any Adepts. So Overload goes down. More Stalkers are warped in. This is only off the back of 3 gateways. +1 is on the way. Elazer's, oh, okay, speed just finished. I was like, what the heck? Speed finishes, and enough Lings will deal with this no problem. It just was a matter of getting those Lings. And this is where you start to wonder if the Stalkers are really quite worth it. Now, this is really good micro. This is pretty damn cool. Barely saves those last 2. I think he only lost 1 Stalker in that engagement. There was 1 Adept, my bad, but still. Point is, Elazer didn't really make a lot of Lings, because you would expect something like this. He certainly didn't, but now that he has the Lings, He has replaced any queens that have died and a little bit more. He should be fine, and he should go back into droning. But he's actually making roaches, probably because he's like, what exactly is this going into? He hasn't been able to get any scouting at the usual times. He's a little too busy defending. He does have some lings around the map to see where those warp prisms are coming from. Oracles, whatever it would have been. But doesn't see the third nexus. That's a little worrying. And doesn't know what that army behind the wall would look like. So he sees an immortal, a lot of sentries, maybe a little paranoid of that follow-up attack with the +1 being done. But Elazer does fit in a few more drones to go up to 57, which is a lot more stable. ShoWTimE went up to 50 probes on 2 bases before taking that third nexus. There we go. Usually we see like them stop around 40, 45. These stalkers continuing to find little bits of harassment. And I can't really argue with the results. They have been doing things. They're not as splashy, literally, as Archons, and figuratively. But they're doing the job. They also aren't too bad against roaches, when it's only a couple roaches being splintered off, right? They can target fire them. Versus their armor is pretty good. I feel like the reason why it's not that, why it wouldn't be the norm. Oh, Night Storm's on the way. Why it wouldn't be the norm is that stalkers, it's all well and good that they can harass as much as an Archon can, I guess, but they're not as strong as an Archon. But they're cheaper. But anyway, so like you don't usually see a lot of stalkers in PvZ. Occasionally we do see some large stalker, blink stalker. Yesterday we saw probe with blink stalker disruptor, but it's very rare nowadays. And at the end of the day, instead of having 2 Archons recalled back to save your life, you're gonna have 4 stalkers, which is like, you're not even gonna upgrade those. You're not gonna get blink. But I'm going back and forth between this, you know, like, but they are cheaper. They get all the way to Templar Archives, and you can still deal with roaches, especially with these immortals. Maybe. Now he has Templar Archives, so he could go into Storm if he needed to. He's pushing forward here. He's on 3 bases, 60 workers, a laser. I think it was just like, I mean, he has double the army supply, but against this type of army, with this type of army, no Ravagers prepared, that doesn't necessarily mean the most. Really nice hold position around that cannon, so the Ling's hold position are just going to die without doing too much. Recall is forced by the roaches. Leaving some units behind, but pick up on the meta, or the War Prism. Oops. Except the Stalker. Stalker doesn't get to live. Probes are going to be killed here. Elazer successfully bought time, and that's really important, because if his army was all in one big clump without Ravagers, and it was being forced into a corner, that's when the sentries do the force field thing, and then 5 Immortals kill everything, and his army just looks like complete crap, basically. But by getting some mobility here, giving up time also to build those roaches, build some Ravagers, and now even doing more economic damage, Elazer isn't doing so poorly. Now, he hasn't used his Nidus Swarm yet, but don't forget that's another thing you could add in here to give him even more mobility, instant reinforcements as well. ShoWTimE getting, I guess, blindsided by this. His attack was all based around the idea that he could do one big attack on what was hopefully a clump of lair-based units here, Lings and Roaches, and instead he was forced apart, pulled apart, almost had the defense set up, and then it quickly spiraled out of control. He's lost units, he's lost army units, he's lost probes, and now he's simply gonna tap out. GG. Elazer, I still think he's a little weirded out by the opening. I think it's something that ShoWTimE has used in the past, so maybe Elazer isn't totally unfamiliar with the style, but I'm thinking it's not what he usually plays against. But then he also was just going for a huge roach swell off of, you know, relatively low drone count, which if ShoWTimE maybe had identified, or rather if he had identified that it was an army that was moving across the map, maybe he just would have played defensive. Maybe it would have been like, oh, you're coming to me? Yeah, okay, fine. And then force fields on a ramp, forget about it, but aggressive, having to recall, having to go into like emergency mode where everything's just a little hectic chaos. Elazer was able to get that snowball effect going. So the second map is going to be Port Alexander. Things aren't looking so good for ShoWTimE. Strats. Yeah, he did do the soccer thing. I didn't think that was off a 3 base though. I thought that was a 2 base attack. But now I'm realizing I don't really remember. If ShoWTimE loses this map, he's probably going to be placed second. Well, not disqualified, no. Wrong word there. Going to be out of WCS Winter. And Elazer will be fighting out with a couple other people for the 6 through 3 slots. In the bottom right, for Team Makers, it is ShoWTimE. In the top left, as the blue Zerg, it is Elazer. It's really unfortunate for ShoWTimE. It felt like he was getting a ton of praise, and he did have a couple of really strong online performances in the very beginning of this year. People were saying his ladder win rates were crazy, they couldn't beat him, he was the Protoss to beat. Like, I mean, he's just getting a ton of praise. So you really start to believe that this might be his, well, maybe not his year, but like the month or his tournament or whatever. And I guess it kind of coincided with the increase in Nidus worms, and I guess because he did practice so much on ladder, maybe the Zergs did slowly figure out his style and are no longer afraid of him. I don't know, but he kind of quickly went from everyone talking about him, the pro gamers, the casters, all saying like, yeah, he's really, really good, to disappointing, you know, maybe an unlucky day, and then another one, another one, another one, another one, and then right here, where he's probably gonna get knocked out of WCS Winter without really making any type of splash, because his group, if I remember correctly, wasn't too impressive either. He almost lost in his groups too. Yeah, I feel like he's in a bit of a rut. Like, he can't quite get a handle on what he feels confident in, especially in PvZ, which is going to obviously dominate Europe. But anyways, I don't want to put words in his mouth or analyze him specifically. You know, you can always talk about it if you would like to. Thank you, Alaska Winter, for the 500 bits. Thanks for streaming. Thanks for supporting. Depth first again. We'll see if he goes into the same opener. I mean, the Stalkers again, they were doing stuff. They certainly caused Elazer to panic around that third base, but nope, gonna be a Stargate. Which Elazer is maybe going to be able to see. He could send an Overlord in there, even though the Stalker's on the way. It would definitely see the Stargate. Adept's trying to get some scouting done. Make sure it's not anything cheesy, all linny. And third base, the drone popping out of the egg. Good scout right there. The gateway's completing the wall, and then there you go. You got yourself a typical PvZ opener. Yeah, Spore is already prepared as he sees the Stargates on Oracle. Second Oracle is on the way, which the Overlord is able to see. Now that's a little unfortunate, but it is something that ShoWTimE is going to risk by not going for a Phoenix or having a Stalker run around. But this is just really clever positioning by the Overlord. I don't think Elazer would really... Sorry, ShoWTimE would think about going over here. It really is too bad, though, because the Stalker could kill it. When you see more than one Oracle, probably gonna go across the map. If you see the Adepts too, you know they're gonna go across the map and do some damage. I think he figured this out because the drones aren't at the third base, just a few unlucky ones popping from the eggs, and then a full wall here. So Elazer didn't want to. He wasn't gonna play around with this. That means he might lose a Spore Crawler, which will open up an opportunity for the Oracles later on, perhaps. But ShoWTimE, I mean, maybe not super disappointed in this opener. I mean, he gets a couple of drones, 5 in total here. His Adepts live, and they did get the Spore Crawler. Now maybe even get a Queen here. Elazer's not mining ideally at all, since he has to... Wait. Oh, because he filled his gas geysers. Never mind. Okay, never mind. So I guess he is still on ideal mining, only at 41 drones, but he was oversaturated until his gas is finished up, so... There he goes back into droning now that he can get his third base. That's still, you know, something where usually you would see a couple drones at the third base. Hopefully they already have Lings prepared and Queens on the front line along with the Spore Crawler so that they don't take a lot of damage from this. But in this case, Elazer kind of like had to over-prepare because nothing was really ready to go. And it was a big delay on that mining, on that drone production. Now he's totally fine. He's got enough roaches to deal with the Adepts if they shade through. Queens if the Oracles come along as well. And... that's fine, but it's, I would argue it did damage, despite being countered. Thank you, Wingnut SC, for the Twitch Prime sub. More drones go down. The Oracle, one Oracle loses its life, but it's not too shabby. Still has one for Revelation for 8 drones, plus the Adepts. Shield battery, their base nice and safe. Going into charge, +1 Immortals. The works. Elazer getting that drone count up since he was kind of stalled out around that 41. Wasn't too pleasant. And going into the Hydralisks. Go, Oracle, go. Doesn't have enough for Revelation, so needs to do the old-fashioned run by, glide by. I forgot about this Phoenix. Did it kill an Overlord? Yeah, I killed the one in the back. Elazer now up to 68 drones. I'm thinking about the 4th base soon. And a bit more of a passive game, so maybe ShoWTimE is going to show his strengths defensively, as he usually does. That's kind of what he's known for. Having those builds, the odd builds, the ones that are more attack-based, all-in-based, like, yeah, that's important to have, but we all know ShoWTimE's nickname, and that is kind of also what Protoss is known for, the old, you defend, or I defend, and then I got like 150 supply, I got Storm, I got all this stuff, and then I'm going to attack you with an army that seems almost unbeatable unless you get a good concave, unless you have something else going on besides just sitting there twiddling your thumbs, at least. I don't know if this is a real attack. I guess it is. He is not actually taking his gases. So if a Ling were to scout this, it would tell the wrong information. There he goes. It didn't feel like this is going to be an actual all-in. More so than just like a poke and a prod. And I guess he was just late to taking his gases. So he warps on the High Templars, then starts Storm, and is just controlling the high ground, which poor Alexander lets you do, and then some. Once the creep spread gets up here, if the creep spread gets up here, then you gotta be a little careful of, you know, being surrounded. Hide you through here, hide you through here. But Elazer's not quite maxed out. He was going to a 4th base, and still waiting on that complete max. So... Warpers into the main. Nothing to actually deal with it. Just the Queen. Nidus Storm's on the way. Probably what? Okay, the 3rd base. I'm sure ShoWTimE is expecting this. Range of the Hydra is not being researched. Was it forgotten about? Decent amount of drone damage going down. And the Warp Prism lives. Overseer is being taken out. This Phoenix also going to be useful for scouting any really big Doom drops. But I'm thinking Elazer's not going to worry so much about that as much as about getting as many Nidus Worms down on the field to transport his army around. So we got more Overseers on the way. And attacks it up to the top side to deal with anything at the third base. If he moves out from the third base, then they swoop in. And ShoWTimE might be tricked by that. Oh, that was confusing. That was actually really confusing. So he's putting an Nidus Worm in his main base where the Warp Prism picked up. And then he's also putting an Nidus Worm in his main base. So you hear this big, terrifying sound as the Protoss flare. Oh, juicy storms. Juicy. And ShoWTimE's gonna start panicking as to where that's coming from. There's not much you can do about it, even if it was right here. Oh, well, or right there, like it is right... Hey, there it is. You can't really do very much until you get rid of the army. So that's just something that Elazer can utilize, can move large amounts of army back and forth, and it gets really, really tough, because you really... Protoss, even with Revelation, in this type of just high intensity battle, it's gonna be hard to correctly identify how much army is in each place. Because Nidus Worm can quickly change that. Suddenly, a 30 army supply on the bottom side goes to 70 army supply without you being able to see that they moved that army. ShoWTimE's doing a great job just balancing act between his natural and his third. He still has a strong army, but he's losing a lot of zealots here. He needs to get those storms, he needs to get those immortals ripping through the remnants of the roaches and definitely onto those hydras. Nidus Worm in the main base, not much you can do about that. I'm thinking he's just running out a warp gate. Reinforcements to actually do that, but he's continuously pumping out of those robos, and he can keep his immortal count up at that really solid 8, maybe he can go up to 10. Then even without zealots, he'll still have a chunky, durable army. And it looks like ShoWTimE has weathered this storm at the very least, but that's very scary. You know what? He was kind of late to responding to that. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Elazer is just filling up the Nidus Worm to go someplace else, and now ShoWTimE going up his own ramp. Not as bad as it is versus Zerg. If there were lurkers, it would be terrifying, but it's not so bad. But his mineral line, it does get destroyed here. 15 probes go down. It looks like the tech is going to be okay, just depowering the Templar Archives, which already has Storm finished anyways. But it's not going to be the cleanest of cleanups. Nidus Worm almost gets back up in the main, too. He's target firing the Immortals, so the Zealots, there we go, are able to clean this up. A lot of Immortals lost their lives for that, and ShoWTimE has to replace so many probes. Elazer is currently gas-starved on 4 bases, maybe add another gas. But ShoWTimE is just going to tap out. Dipping below 100 supply, feeling very contained as well. If the issue of a 4th base ever came up, which it would very soon, then he'd